The First Amendment Foundation comes from the grassroots. When government is open and transparent, citizens can make great decisions. And that's why it's important for the Georgia First Amendment Foundation to really fight for government to be open, for meetings to be open.
We advocate for free expression and information access across the state. We fight for open records and meetings. We defend the rights of peaceable protesters. We deliver training sessions to public officials and journalists, and we produce educational resources to explain the law.
I've lived in Georgia, went to law school in Georgia, practiced for many years in Atlanta, and always knew about GFAF. Sort of felt like GFAF was the watchdog for the people and really revered the work that they did.
It is the only organization that is specifically dedicated to government transparency in Georgia. There are other First Amendment type causes, but this is the only one really dedicated to government transparency. And so it's a tremendous educator for the public and for journalists about the laws that protect government transparency, open records laws, open meetings laws.
When I first joined GFAF's board, we were quite focused on open records and open meetings issues, and we have a history of doing really important and meaningful work in those areas. And then since then, we've become more engaged with expression issues and with the freedom of assembly.
You know, its mission has always been to try to be in the room where things happen, to be at the table. The other big job has always been education. The foundation has been pretty effective in coming up with different ways to advance that educational mission over the years.
The effort was, how do we educate both the public officials, working with the County Commission Association, the Municipal Association, and the general public on why this is important and why this ought to be a priority. And I think over the last 30 years, there's come a huge distance on that. Now, Georgia First Amendment Foundation is invited to do training sessions as a partner with county commissioners and local government folk.
We've been able to provide in a partnership, really, with the jurists in the state, an appreciation of the need for openness in government.
We remind those central to our civic engagement and democratic process in Georgia why access to information is so critical.
I would say the biggest challenge and the biggest opportunity right now are one and the same, and it's trying to address the state attorney general's conflict of interest in representing state agencies while enforcing the Open Records Act and the Open Meetings Act against state agencies. We're hopeful to develop an enforcement solution that allows Georgia's citizens to seek a remedy that is more accessible, but again, this is still kind of an ongoing project.
The training program really, I think, helps governments that want to do the right thing learn how to do the right thing.
We have impacted how reporters do their jobs, but also how citizens get information. We put out these books every year that are co-sponsored by the Attorney General's office that become tools for anybody to learn about what the Open Records Law is about and what the Open Meetings Law is about. I give them to folks all the time. That was so important because it in a sense raised the First Amendment Foundation's stature in a way that now we were very much a trusted source and a known source.
One of the things I think GFAF does is help make sure that people who don't think about free speech don't have to. We need journalists who have access to information. We should have the public able and free of charge to access information. And when those avenues are threatened, we come in a number of different ways.
The First Amendment Foundation is very active in court, and anytime anyone is going up against an agency for not complying with the law, or anytime the law needs clarifying, the First Amendment Foundation has many lawyers on the board, and we very generously have the lawyers write briefs and go along with the filing so that we can help add our support to those kind of cases.
The Georgia First Amendment Foundation, I think, has an excellent relationship with the Georgia Supreme Court and the individual justices in terms of being respected for the perspectives that it it brings to the court, largely through amicus briefs.
First Amendment Foundation has a reputation now that it brings, that it's earned.
When we file an amicus brief, the court tends to notice. The court tends to take it seriously. The court does not sees us as a group that's thinking seriously about these issues.
I think that the Weltner Banquet is an incredible opportunity every year to showcase the impact we've had on Georgia, to showcase the people who fight for the First Amendment values in Georgia.
There's this unbelievable shift away from facts and truth. You've got to maintain that trust, and the only way to do that is to make sure there's a good relationship with the public and their government. So I think the work now is as important as ever.